In Chinese history, there were a few periods that people looking back would always say, those were good times. The rule of Wen and Jing, the Yuan prosperity, the flourishing of the Song dynasty, and the Kangxi-Qianlong golden age. These eras were separated by nearly 2,000 years, different dynasties, different emperors, completely different systems. But if you put these eras side by side and look carefully, you will find something very interesting. The conditions that made them prosperous were strikingly similar. Of course, not all of these conditions carry equal weight. Some are the foundation of prosperity. Others are closer to its true core. Let us start with the most basic one. Almost every period of great prosperity came after a period of great chaos. The rule of Wen and Jing came after the devastation of the Chu-Han War. The Kai-Yuan prosperity came after the political turbulence of Wu Zetian's era. The Song dynasty's flourishing came after decades of chaos across 5 dynasties and 10 kingdoms. The Kangxi-Qianlong Golden Age came after decades of war at the end of the Ming and the beginning of the Qing. You begin to see a pattern repeating itself. First, there is war, then long destruction, and finally, the war stops, and prosperity slowly begins to appear. But here is the question: was it really just because the war ended? It is not quite that simple. After large-scale warfare, populations fall sharply. Vast areas of land are left uncultivated. Cities and villages are destroyed. The entire society's productive capacity drops to a very low level. But once the fighting stops, things begin to change. People return to the land. Abandoned fields are farmed again. Production slowly restarts. And the most important part, all of this is starting from a very low point, which means the speed of recovery can be very fast. So many of these so-called golden ages were not created out of nothing. They were, first of all, recovered from ruins, bouncing back from an extremely low starting point. This is the first layer, but this alone is far from enough. Because whether a society can truly recover after a period of chaos depends on something else entirely: whether the wealth people create can stay in their hands. During the rule of Wen and Jing, taxes were very low. A significant portion of what people produced stayed with them. And what did they do with it? They bought things. They invested. They expanded production. Wealth kept moving. The Song dynasty was similar. It was not a dynasty without taxes, but it was relatively tolerant of commerce. Private capital had enough room to flow and accumulate. So you find a common thread across these prosperous periods. The state was not taking too much from the people. And looking at it from the other direction is even more telling. When prosperity begins to decline, you almost always see the same picture. The state starts needing more and more money. Wars need money. Armies need money. Large projects need money. Expansion needs money. And where does that money come from? In the end, it comes from the people. The financial pressure on the Emperor Wu of Han in his later years is a classic example. The growing military and fiscal demands of Emperor Shuangzong of Tang in his later reign began consuming the economic space that had been built up before him. The problem is not the state spending money. The problem is when wealth is continuously drawn away from the people. How much is left? How much can still flow? When wealth keeps getting pulled away, circulation slows down. And when circulation slows, prosperity begins to wither little by little. So, The ability of ordinary people to hold on to what they earn is an important condition for prosperity to continue. But if you want prosperity to truly grow, there is a third thing needed, and it may be even more important. That is movement. Tang Dynasty, Chang'an was one of the largest international cities in the world at the time. From this one city, you could see people from everywhere. Merchants, envoys, monks, craftsmen, all kinds of people gathering in this city and then leaving again. What the Silk Road brought was not only silk and spices. It brought technology, talent, wealth, and ideas. By the time of the Song Dynasty, this movement expanded even further. Maritime trade connected China's coastal cities to a much larger world. Quanzhou and Guangzhou became major trading ports of their time. At the same time, paper money, bills of exchange, and credit systems further reduced the cost of commercial movement. And so, you see a very interesting state of affairs. People moving, goods moving, wealth moving, technology moving. A truly vital economy often looks exactly like this. It is not static. It is always exchanging, always flowing, always finding new opportunities. So one of the key conditions for prosperity is not that the state arranges everything, quite the opposite. Very often, what the state really needs to do is simply not block this movement, because once movement is cut off, prosperity slowly loses its vitality. And at this point, the first three conditions are all pointing toward the same deeper question. Why were some rulers able to sustain this state for decades, while others ended it with their own hands? The answer may seem counterintuitive: restraint. This is probably the most overlooked condition in all of this history. Prosperity does not only need resources, land, population, markets. It also needs one more thing: rulers who know when not to act. Emperor Wen and Emperor Jing of Han ruled for several decades, and yet later generations do not have that many stories about them. Why? Because very often, nothing dramatic happened. No endless campaigns, no constant grand projects, no announcing one great plan today and starting another one tomorrow. Society simply recovered, slowly accumulated, gradually became more prosperous. Emperor Xuanzong of Tang, in his early reign, was once a diligent and frugal ruler. In the Song emperors overall gave commerce and the private economy relatively large room to breathe. These rulers were not doing nothing, but at certain moments they knew when it was time to act and when it was better not to move. Those two things look like a small difference, but in the span of history, it can be the difference between one entire era and another. Recovery from chaos needs time. Reducing the drain on private wealth needs restraint. Keeping society's movement alive needs tolerance. And all three of these things lead back to the same place: whether rulers are willing to give society the space it needs. The truly difficult thing is not making the state do more. It is making the state understand when not to act. Of course, history has not proven that less government intervention always means more prosperity. It is not that simple. Chinese history also shows us many examples where strong governance, good institutions, infrastructure, and policy played important roles in driving economic development. So, what we can actually take from this history is not a simple formula. It is a pattern that keeps appearing. When a society already has its own vitality, the greatest ability of those in power is sometimes not to keep pushing it forward, but to not break it. A state's ability to create prosperity may not be as great as we imagine, but a state's ability to destroy prosperity is very strong indeed. And so a question arises, what does a country truly need to do? Keep pushing society forward, or, in certain moments, give society enough space. Chinese history has not given us a fixed answer. It has not told us exactly how much a state should manage, or how much a government should do. But it has shown us again and again that those truly prosperous eras almost always had a similar starting point. Someone decided to stop first, no more disruption. And perhaps that is what makes the great prosperous eras of Chinese history so interesting. Later generations remember them for how magnificent they were: filled treasuries, thriving cities, flourishing trade, growing populations, expanding territories. But if you go back and look at how those eras truly began, very often nothing dramatic happened. The wars simply stopped. The burden on people was reduced. Wealth stayed in people's hands. People and goods began to move again. And those in power stopped disrupting things. So, the great eras that later generations remember were often not built on something earth-shattering that an emperor did. Very often, they simply did not do too much.